Well, hello everybody. Here to show you the questions meeting coloring activity right here. As you see right here is I went and drew a picture right here, like an example right here of a classroom. And the way I went and drew this right here, this picture right here would contain about a group of adults like in the back, and then along with younger kids, and knowing about like that teen, I guess students who are between the age of 17, 18, 19 years old or something like that, maybe in their 20s, they would more likely be in a row, and knowing about them, that if some schools that have it to where that when you walk in and knowing about them, that they would assign a desk, or if they would have it to where that they would arrange the classes to where that there would be a row of students that would line up, and between the ages of 20 and 30 or something like some ages like that they would have sitting say a position, your row position it is. But other than that you have right here is I went ahead and drew some examples right here of some students, and that I went ahead and drew right here, this right here, right, this image right here will be example right here of me. And let's just say that with if this was right here was example right here of me right here, and then along with another student right here. And then a lot of times that I think I'm if you're going to be in the classroom with maybe a few girls and then maybe some boys also, is knowing about that while you're in the classroom and doing your schoolwork, and then you're going to be maybe talking to some other students also, and knowing about that whole part about questions meeting. That with questions meeting is knowing that right here is I went and drew right here is a picture right here of me along, say with the girl, knowing about that I can say that that I've done that before, to where that I drew a picture of what you call my I don't know if you say the imaginary girlfriend, but it was a girl that I wanted to kind of picture about what she looked like, and she this girl that I drew a picture of at one time had what she calls brown hair. She had brown hair, and quite a few of them that I thought you'd be kind of attracted, knowing about if they had a ponytail kind of like that right there, but brushed back, ponytail kind of like that right there. And sometimes I wonder, I'm the girl that you're looking at, more likely if they would maybe like to be between their 20s and their 30s, and maybe with their home with their hair combed back, and as well as knowing about if there was blonde or brown or reddish type hair, that type of look. And then knowing about right here is talk about with most girls though, is knowing that that if they are what you call is if they're if they're Hispanic, their type of their race, the color of their skin too. But on the hand, the way I think about it though is people knowing about whenever you meet other people, and then knowing about what their skin color is. But anyway, you have right there an example right there of say a girl that if if I were to start somewhere in the classroom, and just thinking about that you start somewhere in the classroom, and then think about from what all you start out with and what all that you have, knowing about that you start building your skills, and thinking about if you actually meet somebody too. But so far as for questions meeting though, if we were to think about going to meetings, that some that may say that that really that have meetings really always been exciting. Is for most meetings though, that you have it's with a meeting though, that a meeting to where that you go to the meeting, and our meetings usually something to look forward to, and well, that all depends too. But I usually say that I'm that whenever you're in a meeting and knowing about that talk about students, that you start talking about something, and then somebody else wants to kind of speak up, and then you start talking to somebody about something, and then they start speaking up saying that you are incorrect or something, and Harley. A lot of times it seems either between miscommunication, whichever it is knowing about who's to blame for miscommunication. But so far for questions meeting is knowing about that you have right here is knowing about that, if we were to be asking a question or talking about something, and somebody else wants to kind of speak up and like, oh well, sorry, but you're wrong. Like, well, it's all right to be wrong every once in a while, ain't it? Like, well, you gotta be right too. But knowing about, for if we were to calculate about, about how many students, or how many people who are attending the meeting, etc., etc. But just knowing about, like, yeah, right here is like the calculator right here on the phone, and knowing about really the difference between what you can do with that calculator and this calculator right there. And then knowing about, like, yeah, that you can do number of times tables with it, about, how many kids are in the classroom. But other than that, like, so far as for the questions meeting, and knowing about whenever you're in a meeting, such as a webinar meeting, that a lot of times it seems like that, that with most meetings, that if we were to think about that the things that we like to talk about and discuss, that type of stuff, and that knowing about that, anybody say, well, a lot of times that they are pretty boring. Why are they so boring? And knowing about half the time, that maybe nearly 50% of the reason could be is like it's not related to what you're doing, or what you're interested in, or something like that. But on the other hand too, it's like maybe possible changes and updates coming up later on in the next few weeks, later on in the semester, that type of stuff. But on the other hand, and knowing about that you have right here is that with the questions meeting, is knowing about that if we're going to be like some students that may wonder though, that I'm like, yeah, that I'm in a classroom, and then I can say to them, like, it would be kind of, maybe if I can call it, maybe like a nightmare, knowing about, like, yeah, a type of nightmare to knowing about that, not used to being in the classroom with about, more than 25 or so students. And a lot of times that I'm like, yeah, you walk into the classroom, and the next thing you know, it's like, yeah, that you walk into the classroom, and then there's about maybe 30 students or so inside the classroom, and they're kind of, especially if you're going to be showing up a few minutes late, that some of them that may, ask you, like, well, wait, what's going on, or something like that, or they may want to question you about something, and then, like, yeah, and then you question them about something, whichever it is. But in a lot of ways, that knowing about that, yeah, that for us, like, for questions meeting, and knowing about how you're able to communicate with whatever questions that remain, and knowing about, like, yeah, that you don't know well what you're in the classroom for, and knowing about, I'm like, yeah, that seems like that all about starting about that you start talking about something, and then somebody else says that, hey, I know the answer, or oh no, that you're wrong, because it's like that knowing about really is all about the whole purpose about for questions meeting, is knowing about getting answers for our questions, or is it about kind of starting a conversation? And some that may say that whenever the conversation starts getting out of control, of knowing about the conversation starts is by saying like that you're going to have a number of people that are going to disagree with whatever the discussion was about. And a lot of times like, yeah, that knowing about that that for who does what work, or knowing about, I'm like, yeah, for who's people's opinion, and knowing about some sort of change, or that type of stuff. But I can tell anybody here that knowing about that one of my dreams, of course, was that to be like all the other kids, and to be in the classroom, and then for like for a good higher education, like I mentioned before. But then on your hand too, that knowing about exactly about people wonder that, are you going to school really to check out the cool looking school kids, or the cool looking girls, the hot girls, or something like that, like so far as the hotties or something like that, or you there and to learn or something like that. I'm like, well, that I'm not really looking for any type of romantic relationship. And whenever I'm going to school and or on a job, is knowing about that, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of things to learn about anybody saying about, like, yeah, that knowing about we're not really in the meeting really to judge one another. Knowing about, I'm like, yeah, about that anybody say, hey, you don't know what the whole reason to why you're here for. maybe the thing about Mike, maybe it's to learn somebody, to give all of us the opportunity to learn something about us, about you, and then knowing about any questions, of course, that maybe we can learn about each other and know about the reason, about the topic, for to earn that degree. So far as I talk about, say, for the questions, meeting, color activity.